All right, this is part two. Left off discussing the trust, the trustees, the trustor, and the beneficiaries and custodians. And so this is what I contend is happening. If you didn't catch part one, you need to catch part one of this first and then come back to this part two. So now the game is set. The Monopoly game is set, what have you. And everyone has a responsibility. The founding fathers left this responsibility so that the beneficiaries would be taken care of. Okay, the children, the offspring of the founding fathers. I have heard many times that people have linked each of the so-called presidents to a particular bloodline. But I digress. I'll get on that a little bit later. But anyways, being a citizen is a subjective status. It's a subject status, okay? It's a secondary status. Now, as a custodian, you have the physical possession of the assets, okay? They really all belong to the trust, the public trust, and you are using them on a daily basis in order to be productive, in order to take part in industry or industries from which taxes are harvested. And then those taxes feed the machine to keep it going and feed the founding fathers' offspring. Now, you will never realize, perhaps, or know who sits at the head of the table. You'll never realize who they are. You'll never go to school with them. You'll never rub elbows with them. That'll never happen. But who and what you will see are the trustees, because in trust, the beneficiaries are kept private, secret, okay? But you will see the trustees, the politicians. You will see, the officials, okay? And an official, okay, as a trustee, can take on a vast array of titles. Okay, a title is like president, vice president, secretary of state. Okay, those are titles, but their position and capacity, or their position, who they truly are public trustees over the public trust. Okay, again, that suggests that someone created the trust as a trustor, or I think it's called a settlor or a trustor, which you will never meet, you'll never see. Okay, so you are correct when you say that the politicians are puppets. The president is a puppet. Okay, he doesn't really make the decisions, he or she. You are correct. All right, so now, being that is the way it goes, or is, what does that mean for you? Essentially, that means that your forefathers came here with a dream of success, thinking that they were building their own dream as quote-unquote Americans. But the truth is that you are in the plantation producing for master, so that master's house is enlarged and his coffers are widened and well fed. That's really what's going on. Now, because if you've ever seen the Truman Show, because of the fact that many of your generations have done this, we have the occasion to create a normalcy bias. This is all normal now, okay? Because you're inside of the game, you don't see, with any hindsight, you don't see anything else. Some of us have never even been to another country to even know, what it's really like. Most of us only experience other nationalities or countries on TV. So we're only allowed to gain a perspective through the one who's pointing the camera and the broadcasting station that has the narrative or agenda. That's the only way you're realizing anything, okay? And so all we know is this. So this feels normal, okay? I once heard that you can feed someone poison in little bits of in little increments over a long span of time, and their body will adapt and begin to get used to it, okay? And that's what's going on here. Patriotism and all that kind of thing. That was necessary. It was necessary to push patriotism, to make you feel some kind of attachment and bond, because they know that when they studied the human condition, that unless you get that human bond, that bond, that emotional bond, I'll say, people won't stay the course. And that's why it's necessary to create patriotism, okay, to something that most of us don't even understand. I mean, half of us don't even know, or more than half of us don't even know half of the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, right? So that just shows you, it's a mirage. It's something that we're doing because we've always done it. Half of us don't know much about the political system, how it was set up, what it even means. What does candidate mean? Have you ever looked it up? Do you even know? Do you even care? What's the Electoral College? Can you give me the details of that? Most of us don't even know anything about it, right? Because it's more important that we keep the machine going, because that's what we were taught to do, is to keep the machine oiled and greased, okay? And your kickback is you get to live in perhaps a nice house of which you will never truly own, because if you owned it, you wouldn't have to pay taxes on it, okay? You wouldn't have to, I tell you what, if you feel like you really own everything that you worked hard for, stop paying taxes on it. And when the tax man comes and takes it away, who works for the United States government, then you'll understand that you truly don't own it, because that which you own cannot be taken away, okay? And I know we've been conditioned to believe, yes, it can, because I broke the law, but then you don't truly own it, okay? So this is what I contend is going on, and part 3 will go into more of the inner workings of the birth certificate and what that means, because in our custodianship, custodianship, okay, suggests that we have taken on someone else's property, okay? And you ever heard the term in like child support, a custodial parent or non-custodial parent? Custodian is one who is transferred property, okay, from another, okay? And so if you are considered a custodial parent, you got to ask yourself a question. What were you transferred? Look at Wisconsin stats, 54.80. I'm sorry, 54.870. And look at how custodial property is created. And you tell me, do you see what happened when you received a birth certificate? When you applied for the birth certificate and received it from the state? Wisconsin stats, or statutes, 54.870. All right, that's part 2. Make sure you stay tuned for part 3.